Hey guys, Budcat7 here. Alright, it is Tuesday, September 12th, 2023, and I'd like to welcome you to the Stonewall Research 2 channel. I am your host, Budcat7, also known as Dave, and you may be familiar with my other channel. As the name here implies, it's an original Stonewall Research channel. If you didn't know, I'm sure many of my subscribers will be familiar with my old channel, which I no longer have access to. And I've been on hiatus for about a year and a half. I've tried to regain access to my channel, but Google is making it hard for me to do that for some reason. I have no idea why, but no matter. As soon as I got myself together here, I decided to start a second channel here. And if you are a new subscriber, you don't know anything about it, let me cover the topics on my channel. And they're quite controversial, starting with the stone walls of northeastern North America. And if you're not familiar with this subject, it's a controversial one. Mainstream says that colonists and settlers built all the stone walls, which a 1872 geological survey said there's something like 240,000 miles of stone walls, and researchers like Barbara DeLong and Jim Vieira say there's probably a lot more that have been discounted for whatever reasons. Is more like 500,000 miles of stone walls, which would make it the largest area of man-made stone constructions on the face of the planet. But you don't hear anything about it because it is such a controversial topic. I've actually busted Michael Challenger on Coast to Coast when he referred to the stone circles of South Africa being the largest area of ancient stone constructions on the planet. Well, it's not, and I had intervened on the Coast to Coast show to do that, and they had to have him back on, which a couple weeks later I had to apologize to him up and down because I ambushed him and put him in his place, because you can't go around saying that when it's not true. He knows all about Barbara DeLong's work, Jimmy Vieira's work, and anybody else's work in this field. So that's the lumps there, buddy. But in any case, nothing against him or anything. I like the guy a lot. It's just that that's not true. That's all there is to it. And that's one of the conclusions that we have to come to about the stone walls. Among other things, it's very controversial. As I said, the mainstream says that colonists and settlers built all the stone walls, and people like Tim McSweeney knows differently, although I differ from him. He's an alternative researcher with a Facebook page, Waking Up on Turtle Island, which is the most excellent page, along with Matt Adams on his Facebook page as well. Excellent researchers in this field, but they have a tendency to believe that the historical Aboriginal peoples were the ones that built these walls, when it was reported by them to anybody asking about it when the colonists and settlers got here about it, and they seem to insist that they were built by some other peoples that came before them. And it certainly had to be that way for the Iroquoian people, because they were latecomers to the area anyway. Nobody says anything about that. But I've also come to my own conclusions about the stone walls. I'm a hands-on researcher covering research on the stone walls up in the Green Mountains of Connecticut, and then up in Vermont with the late Jimmy the Paleo Mountain Man, who passed away last year. I have to talk about that as well. But Jimmy and I had come to some conclusions about the stone walls, and certainly revelations that nobody else had come to. And we discussed those things on my original channel there. So if you're not familiar with it, you should go back and watch those videos. I have some in a playlist there that cover all the bases, I think. And playlists of my actual research, which you might enjoy as well. And just amazing stuff that I found there out in the wilderness. But that's one of the topics that we cover on my channel and my older channel and now this channel here. But we'll talk about that a little bit too. So also I cover on this channel ancient giants and humanoids, and it's not just ancient giants, but it's all the different types of humanoids in the past. We're just a hybrid, all of us, hybrid species of all these humanoids combined. Although we can pretty much conclude that the giants are still with us today in pockets around the planet, but nothing is said about this. But I've covered it on the research here, and about the giant genocide, the myth about the giants being cannibals. They were absolutely not. There's so much more evidence that points to that their level of sophistication was just extremely high as far as their skills, etc. And it seems pretty clear that they are the ones who were the engineers and builders of many things, because their chief skill was working with stone. And although they might have built some pyramids for themselves, I'm sure they were contracted to do many of the megalithic things that you see. If it was not for themselves, which I think would probably be in South America there, it was for other people. They were the masters of working with stone and construction and engineering practices. They were the go-to guys, and these were the people that constructed most of the megalithic things, including the stone walls of northeastern North America, where people like the authors of several books on building stone walls, whose families have been in it for generations, say that the average stone wall, stones in the stone walls of northeastern North America weigh somewhere between 65 and 75 pounds. So that's a lot of weight to work with for hours and hours and hours and hours, and obviously it had to be done by hand. If the lifting wasn't done mechanically, it still had to be done by hand, which sounds like extremely tiring work for people of average size. But in any case, again, these things are covered in my original channel, so if you're interested in the giants, I actually covered them state by state in the United States and also internationally, and certain conclusions about that I've drawn that nobody else has, like those about the relationship between the Adena people and the Bell Beaker people and the people in Europe there, and how they were living in a similar kind of situation that the Adena and the Hopewell were living in those time periods. And that the whole northern hemisphere here was occupied by these peoples on both sides of the Atlantic, but all together in either similar or related societies. So in any case, you should go back to my older channel, watch all those videos, and come to your own conclusions, certainly. But I have a different take on the giants. I have my own conclusions about it, my own opinions about it, based on my research and all the research that's done. And after you look at it, this whole idea about the giants being these savage cannibals, that dissipates when you hear all the facts about the giants. And again, they're still with us today, so we should be looking at that as well. And I will be on this channel. I'm going to cover all the things on my other channel, although in a little different. And also about the ancient diet and mind-stomach connection, which, I try to cover some of these things on my channel. Why I'm so interested in ancient diet is because so many of these skeletal remains were dug up with perfect teeth, and it's impossible to have perfect teeth. You look at what's going on today with all the dental hygiene practices that we have today, and yet we have so much other tooth decay and all kind of stuff. Whenever they dug these things up, they were shocked, because even in their own time, Victorian times, etc., their teeth were atrocious in those times, just absolutely atrocious. And going to the dentist, everything was like torture. So how did these people end up with such perfect teeth? Every time they dug them up, they would say, these people must have been vegetarians because their teeth are in such fine condition, implying that the introduction of meat into the diet, especially land terrestrial animals, would cause all this decay to go on. Certainly at a time where people didn't have a lot of money for sweets. They weren't eating sweets like we are eating today. It certainly contributes to our problems today. But even in Victorian times, they weren't eating sweets, in such great abundance and everything that they would be rotting their teeth. It's bad hygiene practices, A, and B, their diet. It's always their diet. That's why these professionals always exclaim this, that these peoples must have been vegetarians, as they say repeatedly in the accounts of the giants. So that's one part of it. And the other part of it is the mind-stomach connection and good health, and how these people maintained good health in the past there by, whatever it is they ate in their diets there. But I believe, certainly because of the mind-stomach connection and the stomach being called the second brain in the body, etc., there's all this research done into this. There's a lot to it. And one of the subscribers to my old channel there, my other channel, had mentioned to me about pica, and there's people craving for, eating chalk or whatever it is, that they lack some sort of mineral in their diet, and this is why they have this pica. It's one of the theories about it anyway, but there's something to it, because the animals seem to know what they have to eat and when they have to eat it, and they're always eating food that's relatively fresh comparatively to us. And there's something to that. There's something to be said about that. There's something to be said about ancient diets and the power of these people. Whenever you refer to cavemen in the past, they always show them all muscular and everything else like that. And you can tell by the bones how muscular they were. Often these very large people, these giant hominids and humanoids, they could tell by the, where these connections of the muscles were to the bones on the body, that these people were absolutely huge and powerful. And so people were powerful in the past. Well, it certainly had something to do with their diet and whatever other practices that they had, similar and more close to what the animals know. How does an elephant know that it has to go 100 miles to lick salts or frogs because they lack it in their diet? What's telling it to do that? Say instinct, DNA. Well, how? They can explain any of that? They can't. They can't explain any of it. They have a lot of theories about it, but they can't explain it. More than one theory as well. So, it's open to interpretation anyway. So, things like that. Why do the orca only eat the shark liver? They got the whole shark there, a giant, white shark, great white shark. They only eat the liver? Aren't they hungry? They gonna eat the rest of the meat? No, they don't. They only eat the liver. Well, who told them to do that? Their nutritionist? They just instinctually know what it is that they have to eat, what has the compounds that they eat. It's just very simple. When you look at all the predatory animals, when they make a kill, they very rarely eat the muscle meat. That has the least nutrition in it. It's all the organs of the body that have the complex compounds, protein compounds that we need in our diets to provide us with the correct vitamins for those particular things in our body, no less. But everything else, there's reasons for that. And also, to go with the healthiest thing. Again, terrestrial animals were not eaten much in the past, They had a lot of fish in their diet, so we'll cover that, Ancient diets, By just looking at these pictures here, fish is included in here over and over and over again, It's abundant. It's fecund, as they say. The fish will come back again and again and again and again. Okay, no matter how many times you put the net into the water, the fish just keep coming out. And if you get smart about it, now you start doing fish farming. You don't have to go running around catching fish with hooks and nets, or all this vigorous activity, when you could just make a pond and stock it with fish and just go in there casually anytime you want and pull out big bushels of fish again and again and again. Okay, all this hunting and running around, everything is all energy intensive. It's just, why would you do any of that stuff? And not only that, you're eating the healthiest thing that you could possibly eat, fish. So much of this was going on in the past. And not only that, the people ate what was in season, as we do today, but lots of us lack those things in our diet because it's so bad. Our diets are bad. We're not really listening to our bodies, listening to our other brain, our stomach. They're trying to tell us what we want to eat. How many times you stand in front of the closet there, it's filled with food, and yet there's nothing there that you want to eat. Okay, there's a reason for that. Your body's trying to tell you what you want, but you can't hear it. Okay, because you haven't practiced that. That's just all I'm saying. It's very simple. Okay, and the fourth topic that I often cover on my channel is UFOs. What are they? Okay, well, some people think they're spacecraft. Well, I don't think they're spacecraft. Okay, and I'm following in the footsteps of people like Trevor James Constable. Okay, who wrote these books here, Sky Creatures, Living UFOs. They live in the sky. Okay, it's all about UFOs. They're not spacecraft, but living creatures, and I can prove it too, even by the latest Tic-Tac UFO evaluation done by fighter pilots and all kind of stuff. We talk about that too. I intend to, because we need to talk about it because it's revealed right there of what they are, and it's living things that live in space or live in the atmosphere. That's what I say that they are. And people like I'm trying to think of Charles Fort believed that, and a number of other people. I'm not the original person who believes this, or Trevor James Constable or Wilhelm Reich believed that too, that they were living creatures. Okay, and I came to that conclusion before even knowing anything about any of these things, by their behavior. They're exhibiting types of animal behavior, herd behavior, etc., swarming, etc. Okay, when they emit this beam of whatever it is, they maybe silicon-based life forms or some other kind of life form. Okay, they could have even been born on this planet or created on this planet. Okay, by the various people running around creating things in the past, like corn and us and domestic animals, etc., etc. Nobody knows where any of those things come from. Okay, and corn's just impossible without human beings managing it and all this kind of stuff. Well, how could that possibly be? How are we making the greatest superfood ever? In the past, cavemen did it. They're growing crops with no food yield. You're devoting all your energy to that. I find it hard to believe. So, with the University of California calling it the single greatest achievement of genetic engineering ever, okay, how could cavemen have possibly created it? It was obvious evidence of a previous past, more advanced civilization with laboratories. And the thing is that when we think about ancient technology or any sort of superior technology past, we're going to assume that these people created societies like similar to ours, with mass consumption, mass production, etc., etc. Well, what if they elected not to do any of those things, yet they still had technology on a level that's higher, everything handmade, like a Duesenberg, okay, car, all right, not mass production and blah blah blah, one of a kinds, okay. And this is why they're not around, beside the fact that the whole surface of the planet has been destroyed repeatedly again, especially in the Americas. Okay, that's why they say it's the new world. Well, the geology doesn't match the rest of the world, it's got to be new. So they keep on trying to match it to the rest. But the thing is that North America has been destroyed, so it's new from the time that it's been destroyed. So that's why they can't reckon it. But in any case, these are the kind of topics that I covered on my old channel, and I'll be covering it on this channel as well. Okay, but differently in the sense that I don't want to have to go and repeat the whole story over and over again like I had to do on my other channel, when people would either offer up some sort of criticism or whatever it is. They have to repeat the same things over and over and over again. This is really for like graduates. This is like for a truther graduate channel. You're already well versed and well researched in these topics, including what I have to say about it. Okay, so you know enough not to have to repeat the same old timelines again and whatever conclusions have been come to. This is what I'm going with here, and this is what I want to talk about. Okay, so I'm going to offer my opinions based on my research, but certainly all the research is whatever facts I can take from it. Okay, this is why it's, I'll often read from, historical texts, research papers, etc., etc. This is just, not simply my opinion. It's whatever opinions I have are based on this actual research, which is a lot of it's mainstream, but some of it's controversial mainstream. Certainly like Charles C. Mann's book, 1491, Revelations in the Americas Before the Arrival of Columbus, okay, where archaeological researchers in South America there are saying maybe Sumeria isn't the cradle of civilization, maybe it's the Americas. Okay, not my opinion, that's theirs. Those are the archaeologists and anthropologists working down there who are finding older and older and older and older stuff. Okay, so these are the kind of things that we talk about on my other channel, and hopefully one day I'll get access again to it. But till then, we'll be discussing these things on this channel. So if you're unfamiliar with my work, please go back to my old channel, watch all the videos on there, and certainly come over here and watch what I have to say here, because it's going to be similar things, often, articles, maybe shorter videos I like to do, but we'll try to condense everything into some sort of concise format. All right, so in any case, again, welcome to my new channel here. For those who know me and know my work, etc., etc., welcome. I've been out of it for a while, but we'll talk about that later on. Unfortunately, Jimmy passed away last year. It was like devastating to me, but I don't know. His family didn't do much to contact me or anything like that. Maybe they don't like me. I have no idea, but we did do that research together on the stone walls and come to certain revelations, which I'm going to go over again on this channel. And many of the things that we talked about on my old channel, we're going to go over again and again here, as well as new things. But certain things need to be clarified, maybe in much shorter videos if I can do them. But any case, guys, thank you for coming, and I look forward to making some more videos for you that cover these topics here, and we'll discuss them, we'll talk about them, and including the nubs. I want to talk about that too, because I want to talk about the ancient stone builders, who they were and everything, and how it relates to nubs and everything else. But again, more things to come. Anyway, Bugcat7 here, thanking you, and till next time, peace, my friends.